नाम ही सही लिखे जाएंगे तो कार्ड क्या किस करेंगे? वो आपने पर्चे भी भेजी ना, उसको देख के नाम सारे नोट किया, वो पर्चे को एक ही लंबी पर्चे उसको नाम देख के उसको सेव करवा दिया, जब भी करेंगे शाम को। वो शुक्र है 24 25 24
Progress.
Can we, good evening to all of you.
Good evening, sir.
Right, great. I think we'll have to maintain some discipline around. Thank you for joining. And can we maintain some discipline, please? Right. Students, can you mute your mics, please? All right. Thank you very much. First and foremost, I would like to thank Professor Dr. Lubna Ali, the Deputy Dean of Social Science, Arts and Humanities, who has graciously accepted our invitation to enlighten our students how to publish research articles step by step. Because common question the students ask when we say to publish article, the first question is, how do we do this? How do we write article? Where do we publish? Where these international journals, where do we publish? How much do we have to pay? All kind of queries, questions, problems. A lot of gray area, a lot of dots to be connected. So there was a long-standing requirement how to publish research articles. Therefore, we organized this seminar from the faculty to educate and give some tips for students and actually inculcate the culture of publication. So I warmly welcome Dr. Lubna online. In fact, she's been quite helpful. And Professor, thank you very much for accepting the invitation in a very short period and coming online to help us students, postgraduate students. So today, I think we have students from different disciplines. They have been joining this meeting. So hopefully the session would help you to come up with your first article. If you have been planning to publish an article, this would be, take this opportunity and embark on this journey. Thank you very much. And I would like to welcome Dr. Lubna to, without further wasting any time, to educate our students in how to publish articles. Students, once again, please do maintain discipline. If not, we will have to remove you from the class. Thank you. Professor Lubna, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Dr. Roshan. Thank you for the great introduction and for the discipline introduction. Thank you so much for giving me this chance to meet those students and to try to share some of the knowledge. And I hope at the end that I, in some way, could enlighten the students' knowledge in their doubts, solving their doubts, or finding answers to their issues. So shall we start? Or do you expect some more to attend?
Ma'am, we shall start, then let them follow.
Sure. So
All
I'm
right.
sharing my slides. We will try to make this seminar short and sweet, then we will open the floor for questions and answers. Please, everyone, mute yourself. And if you have anything to say or to share, we can write in the chat box. This is the question given and said by Dr. Roshan at the introduction, that how to publish. What should we do when we publish? And is it free or paid? And how long does it take to publish? And why do we need to publish? Like I remember one time when I guided my PhD students in one of the groups, then I posted the guidelines given from the Center of Postgraduate in our university, Lincoln University College, Malaysia, which is equivalent to every university in Malaysia and worldwide. It said that the students have to publish 4 articles, different ranking. Then the students said, why should we publish? We don't have to do this. It's very difficult and very hard. A simple question said by the student and simply can be answered. You have to publish if you want to be called a researcher. You are conducting a research. So to complete the research process and become a researcher and called scholar, you need to do publications. This is the entire experience of research. Without publication means your research is not completed. I hope it's clear. So here is the outline. We will start with a short introduction, moving to paper writing process. And before that, we will learn what type of papers we can extract from your work. Because this seminar is for postgraduate and for undergraduates, those who have to publish, and supposedly they have already written their research paper, their research project. They have taken research methodology. So we are not going to learn research methodology and how to write the project, but what types of paper you can extract from your work and how to write the paper and prepare it to be published, and will provide you some tips that you need to consider when you prepare your paper for publication. Then we will conclude and move to the question and answer section. So let's start. Why do we have to publish an article? First thing, because it is a requirement. You are a PhD, master, or bachelor student, it's required from you. Some programs, it might not be necessary. So it's not required for your graduation, but it will increase the likelihood of finding academic positions. When you go searching for jobs, you need to submit your CV. Then people in your CV looks into few things: your academic level and experience, your work experience, means your qualifications, your work experience, and your publications. These are 3 criteria when we look for the CVs of applicants we focus on. We don't look into the gender, and we don't look into the age, we don't look into the look or the nationality or the language. We look into what type or how many publications, recent publications, continuous publications, or only publications done 10 years ago and finished. So that means it's not active. Number 2, what is the area, means the qualification, which is his specialization, and also about the experience of work. What type of work, what positions, where, and for how long. So we said it increases your possibility to find academic positions. It's a prerequisite for graduation. Your PhD project will have been peer reviewed before you go for Viva defense. Because in your thesis or in your project, you will have few objectives. When you go for publications, you are not publishing the entire thesis. You might extract 5, 6, 7, or maybe 10 research papers from one thesis. So the time you send your paper will be peer reviewed. Please mute yourself or move.
And 2, enough momentum to severely injure an unwary Mechagodzilla. Knowing this, Eudora takes damage to the overall speed in this battle.
So your paper will be peer reviewed. What does it mean peer reviewed? Means it will be sent to reviewers. Reviewers will view, will read, will try to give you some feedback to improve. So that's for the advantage of your work. The time you go for defense, you are more confident. If your paper have been published before your Viva, it gives strength to your thesis, to your work, that it is published, it adds something to or contributed to the field. So it is successfully done and the process of research has been completed. What types of papers we can extract? We have various types of papers we can extract. Or you can also prepare conference materials, which are the abstracts. Maybe sometimes it's some summary of a research we have presented in conferences, posters, and slides that we can participate in different conferences, different seminars, webinars, exhibitions, systematic review, literature review, scoping review, empirical research article, and concept papers. These are few only of the types we can do. What I'm focusing here are the literature review papers that fall under systematic review, scoping review, literature review. That means all about reviewing the literature with some differences. Empirical research article, this is the research article that we have collected data, analyzed the data, primary data, analyzed the data, and we got our results. That's called empirical research, empirical articles. And concept paper in which we aim to produce a model or develop a model that other research can be used or use it for continuing the research, maybe examining the model. That's why it's called concept paper. Means we reach to the stage of the conceptual framework. Something similar to the proposal. We have our methodology. We have read the literature. We have designed our conceptual paper, so we can publish up to that. How to write the paper? I'll give you some example about the content of the papers, but I will be focusing more on the empirical data. Empirical papers means I will provide example for the paper that starts from the abstract, moving to the results, the findings, the conclusions, to the limitation and recommendation. We have data here resulted after we implement the instrument, after we collected the data, after we analyze based on the conceptual framework we have designed. So it's a completed research. That's what's mostly expected from you to do after you complete your data collection. I have many students who have their research, but then they ask this question, please guide us, how can we write the paper? From where we start? I know many of them are here and this question is frequent among all. How to write the paper, where to start? It's something similar to your project, to your thesis, but in a focused and concise manner. So what should you do? The first point will be the abstract, but to start writing the abstract, it's not the right. Abstract always, it's the last thing to write because it's the summary of the entire paper. So better to start with the introduction. Sometimes you will start with the methodology, but that time is the time where you don't have yet information to be written in the introduction. But we agreed at the beginning that the time you will write your paper, that means this time you have already decided your topic, you have already assigned to your supervisor, you have already written your thesis or at least proposal. So we are not here to discuss how to select the topic. You already have written your topic, decided, you have written your proposal. Some of you already collected some part of data. So the first section will be the abstract, the introduction, the literature review, the model development. Research methodology. In the research methodology, few elements are necessary to be included. What design? What is the setting? What's the population, the sampling? How did you collect it? How did you collect your sampling? And what is the sample size? What is the sampling method and the sample size? And what instruments did you use in your study? Is it questionnaire? If it's quantitative, is it interview, focus group discussion, observation? That is referred to instrument. Sometime in a research, if it's qualitative, you are as a researcher become the instrument himself. What ethical approvals did you need to get in order to conduct your study? You need to mention that. And what is the results? And then discussion, conclusion, limitations, and recommendations. These are the elements for any empirical research paper, which many students, they overlook. So these are the elements you always need to remember to include. Nothing is new. You have done your research. So definitely you have all these elements. So the same elements will be included with some differences. What is the difference is what to integrate with what. That depends on the guidelines of the journal that we will come to it later. Last thing will be written is the abstract. Because the abstract, we said, it's the summary. Be careful. I'm giving you here example for how to write the abstract, which from my experience with my student and my experience as the chief editor or editor of a journal, students are facing difficulty in writing the abstract. Some of them will write something like literature review. Some of them will select only few parts of the research to put here. So clearly stating the abstract means summarizing your elements of research. What elements? The elements are just shown now. Abstract, introduction, literature review, methodology, conclusion, and recommendation, plus the reasons. So let's see here, I've colored every line in different color. You can read. The first one refers to introducing the topic. What is the topic about? Then you will show the gap. After the gap, you will refer to the aim. What is the aim? What is the objective? Then you will start with the methodology. To answer this gap, to fill up this gap, to answer the questions, what methodology will you use? Quantitative, qualitative? You need to explain this. What is the design? Who is your sample? What is the size of her sample? Means how many? How did you collect the data? Shortly, abstract should not exceed 300 words. In short, with all the information. Then you move to the results also shortly. One of the biggest mistakes is to use statistics in your abstracts. Don't use any statistics in your abstract. It's only generally. What was the results of the relationship, for example? What did you find? If it's qualitative, you wanted to find specific elements or findings. Just shortly explain in 1, 2 to 4 lines. Then you give some or one statement about what is the contribution or your discussion. That's it. Abstract is very important in any research paper because you yourself, when you are doing your assignments, when you are reading for your project, for your thesis, the first thing you will do, you will read the abstract. You will download the article, you will read the abstract, then will decide to save or to not save. So the abstract must give you a complete picture of what exactly this research paper. Something like a title, give you guidelines. Okay, this is about, okay, it's interested, it belongs to me, so I need to download and save and read. That's why you need to spend more time writing your abstract and make sure that all the elements are here. Then you move to write the introduction. You have your thesis ready. You will select. What will you select? You will select the statements that is relevant to your aim. Because we said in your thesis, you have many objectives. But in your paper, you are going to select 1 or 2 objectives. You're not going to put all your thesis in one paper. Unless it's for undergraduate, you have 2 research questions, that is fine. But if you're working for PhD and it's required from you to publish 4 articles and you put all your theses in one paper, how will you publish the rest? So you need to be very careful about this point. Choose the objectives based on their importance and relevancy. Put them in one paper. Select and put in one paper, then select the statements which is relevant. Your introduction must be divided into topic, summary of the main points, and thesis statement. What is a thesis statement? It's the general idea that at the beginning we state, which is summarizing everything. From that general idea, we will divide our introduction into sub-paragraphs. One thesis statement, it's called thesis statement. It's not a thesis of your research, be careful. It's a thesis statement that covers the important or the general idea of your writing. Then down there, you will have some subtopics. Every topic will be included in 1 to maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs. Here we will come to talk about academic writing. When we write the paragraph must have the content which consists of introductory statements, supporting ideas, and conclusion. All integrated. We don't write introduction, supporting ideas, and conclusion. We don't write like that. It's general, but there must be a complete idea in one paragraph. When I read the paragraph, I see it's completed, telling me something from A to Z. One important thing here, you are not yet allowed to state your ideas in the introduction. Whatever you put in the introduction must be cited. Be careful. Whatever you put in the introduction must be cited. You are not yet allowed to write your own ideas or argument. So you write your paragraphs. Every paragraph will cover start and end one specific idea. All must be supported with references. Be careful. After the introduction, we'll move to the literature review. And for the literature review, I didn't bring here an example, but I placed the link of some of my research articles, which I will show you. For literature review, you need also to select what is relevant. We will only select from your thesis what is relevant to your objective. Always, it's advised to divide the literature review into subtitles. Don't just write a long essay. To attract the reviewer, the reader, divide it into subtitles. These subtitles must represent your main topic. Any term, keywords you have there, your factors that you study. Most of the terms mentioned in your titles must be covered widely in your literature. You must clear any doubt and fill up any gap. This is for the literature review. For one point here, introduction. Under the introduction, you have to mention the problem statement, but the problem statement in your thesis, it's compulsory to be stated in a separated title. When it comes to publication, it depends on the journal. In some journals, they prefer the problem statement to be integrated at the end of the introduction. So you will provide the problem statement, you will highlight the gap in the literature, and then we'll write your objectives or questions. Then it will come the literature review. Let's look into this paper. Is it visible? This is the abstract I've just explained.
No, Professor.
No, only the links are available.
Not visible. Okay, just give me 1 minute.
Not yet.
What about now?
Not yet.
Yeah, can.
Okay, so this is the abstract we just seen. That's the one I told you. It's not always you need to mention background, not always. That depends on the journal, be careful. This journal stated that we have to mention the titles. Here is the background, here is the aim. For you, you can start as this, but then you follow the journal guidelines. Also require the methodology. the results. So then you write keywords, the introduction. This is what I was talking about. You have paragraphs. Not only write small sentences. Paragraph, you need to provide introductory statement, details, supporting ideas, references, all the time support with references. Then literature review. Model development, that we said it is like the conceptual framework based on the literature you have done what they have said, then you will build your own conceptual framework to draw the relationships between the factors. That's only if you have a quantitative research. The hypothesis, the methodology, the elements of the methodology, research design, sample size. You can also state population and sampling procedures and sampling and data collection. The instruments used, clearly explain what instruments you have used. If you have designed the instruments, you explain. If you have adapted, you need to explain clearly, very important section. What ethical issues you needed and what consent you have received from your participants, and then your reasons. After the results, you will write your discussion, which is also another, let me show you the discussion. It's also one of the problem for the students based on my knowledge or experience. What's the problem here? The students for the discussion, they simply try to write something like literature. Discussion doesn't mean literature. Discussion means you present your results in relation to the literature. So we can say a few points, very important, I want to highlight, and I wish that you will understand and then you will implement. When you write the discussion, always remember what was your objective. To make connection. Then, what was the results of those objectives? You have two objectives, for example. What was the result of objective one? Objective one, the results was this. These results, was it supported by previous studies? Is it similar or different? That's what we want to see in the discussion. Is it similar? He said this results of this study supported by previous studies, supported by, for example, we say Johnson in 2021, who stated blah, blah, blah. Or the results we found, the results found in this study shows contradiction between what have been stated in the literature. Previous literature stated this, which is against what it was found in this study. Do you see the connection? So if you have hypotheses like here, you need to present your research, discuss your research based on your hypothesis, whether the hypothesis was supported, means proven to be positive or negative, or no. Let's say you said there will be, this seminar is going to be a significant for us. Then after you do the study, you notice that this seminar is not benefit. So that means
I'll back to you in 5 minutes. Wait me.
Ali, please mute yourself. Ali Rifai. So if we said my proposal or my hypothesis states that the findings or the outcome of this seminar going to be beneficial for the students. Then after, at the end, when collected the data or the, let's say, the evaluation, it was found that it's not beneficial. So that means my hypothesis was not supported. It was not accepted. My hypothesis was rejected. This is the first stage. The second stage, this rejection or this result, was it supported in previous research? Is it similar or not similar? You provide previous research. Second point, the research you mentioned here, see here, the result is similar to the results of previous studies, then supported by previous studies. These studies you present here must be presented already and discussed in the literature review. That's why we always say the literature review, we keep changing, updating, revising till the last stage. We write the literature review first, then when we prepare your methodology, we also read and write literature review. Then when we do our discussion, we also read and write literature review again. Any reference to be mentioned in your discussion must be supported in the literature, mentioned already in the literature review section. Two main points to pay attention to. Number one, to discuss your study or results of study based on the objectives or based on the hypothesis. Number two is to support your discussion with research, previous research. Provide justification. You might say, okay, my results was not supported or rejected by previous studies. Try to search to find some justification. Why did you find this? Why do you think this is happening? Search, you might find some justification from different area, far a little bit from your field, but there might be some justification. You might study in education, but then you find some explanation from psychology, maybe from other field. Try to put that one. It might be due to this reason, which was stated in previous research by this researcher, mentioned this and this. Telling me story, telling a story. What is your results? Why is this result? And who supports or rejects this results?
Hello, Dr. Prof. Can you not mute that person or remove him completely from the class? He's becoming a distraction to us.
Excuse me?
What I mean is that Prof. Mike Udam from Nigeria, I said, mute that person that is disturbing the class or remove the person completely. You are the admin, you have the authority.
Okay, who's the, okay, just a minute. Let me see how can I manage this. Udam is speaking, right? Ask to mute. I hope I could make it. Thank you, Udam. So I hope it's clear now this point until we reach to the discussion, how to write the discussion. I just focused on
Yes.
few points mainly, like the discussion and the abstract, because this is the most or 2 points that the students always face difficulty with. Then we continue explaining everything until we reach to the conclusion. Conclusion means summarizing the study. Don't write anything new. Also, some students here try to discover new things. Just summarize what you have done. Something similar to the abstract, not copy paste. Summarize what was the main objectives. How did you find it? What did you find? What recommendations you are giving? At the end of the conclusion, you should explain the contribution, means the significance, how this results is benefit, the limitation. Don't tell me your study doesn't have any limitation. Everything has a limitation. What limitations your study have and how or what is the recommendation for further studies? Most of the recommendation of further studies comes from your limitation. My study is limited to quantitative design. So it is suggested for further studies or future studies to conduct a mixed mode to get an in-depth analysis. And it's good to explain why it's a limitation. If you have a clear explanation, say this is the limitation, why it's a limitation, not because no, I don't like qualitative. No personal justification here. Or this study focused on participants from the school near my house. No, please. You need to find a logic limitation and a logic justification. Because some students, they say, I will collect the data from one research, from one school. When I say, why selected this school? Because it's the school I work in. Even though that is what's happening, but please try to make it in other way. Search in the literature. Every time you face any challenge, any difficulty, go to the literature, you will find the answer. This is one example. I will stop sharing this one. Okay, just a minute. I'll show you another example. This is, do you see my screen? Not yet, right? Okay, just a minute. Okay, this is another study. Look at the abstract, very short. If you calculate it, it's not maybe 250. We start with aim. Again. Then, I think they open, I don't know, Mike. Okay, this is the methodology, how we analyzed, what instruments we have used, the results, what the findings contribute to the field, and what suggestion have been given based on this findings. Some keywords, introduction, literature review. See here at the end of the introduction, we integrated the problem statement, then the questions or the objectives. Literature review divided into subtitles, subsections. Research methodology divided into research design, theoretical framework, data analysis, how we analyzed in details. We provide all the details about how this data was analyzed. If you have different methods to analyze, you need to explain question by question or objective by objective. Because this paper has different instruments to answer every question. I'm not the host, actually. The host, please, you can mute or do something. Then the findings based on the objectives. I have 3 objectives, so I stated the findings based on the 3 objectives. Don't mix it up. Try to make it clear and obvious to everyone who wants to read and get the knowledge from you. Then you increase the possibility of get your paper published. Use simple language. Don't use complicated language showing that you are professional or can speak professionally or your language is native language. Just write academic language. Follow academic style in writing. Simple language. Discussion. Conclusion and recommendations. This is a recommendation. Then the references. So we are back here again to continue the third point in the agenda, tips to publish a journal article. We have 3 tips here. I tried to summarize it all in 3 tips for you. So number 1 is to consider the value, the originality, and the innovation. When we submit the paper, it goes first to the editor of the journal. So the editor will decide to accept or reject. This is first stage. After accepting or rejecting, we will send this to the reviewers to check. What the reviewers will look into whether this research is original and whether it's significant and will add a contribution to the literature. Definitely your study is original and has contribution. Otherwise, it wouldn't accepted during your study by your supervisor or during your defense by the panel. So I believe all of you has some contribution to the field. The relation of your research study to the field of the journal and whether the literature is highlighted clearly, the literature gap. You need to make the gap in the literature clear. Means why do you want to conduct this study? So literature gap always we represent it in the problem statement. Again, how to write your problem statement. This is another story. We start with the problem statement, generally write about the topic, something like introducing the topic, then researching and finding recent. In the problem statement, it should be recent research, 5 years at least, or maximum. Recent literature in the field, what has been said, what have been studied. Definitely there are some areas still not being touched, or might be touched and researched, but using different methodology. So this is a gap for you that you want to find this research using different methodology, or maybe has been studied, but in different place. Geographical gap. Geographical gap. It might be methodological gap, geographical gap, or theoretical gap. We have different gaps. So you need to highlight what gap do you have that motivated you to conduct this study. That you must make it clearly written in your paper, because this is the first thing that reviewers and editors look for. Second point is to read, and read about your problem. Okay, I am studying the phenomena in my country, in Sri Lanka, or in Malaysia, or in India. It doesn't mean I read only the research conducted in India, Sri Lanka, or in Indonesia, or in Malaysia. That's also one of the biggest mistakes the students conduct. Then they say, we couldn't find enough literature. Read generally about the phenomenon. Read the maximum number of research studies you can. Read locally and internationally. Read foundation studies and recent studies. Foundational studies, things that have been written 50, 60, 17 years ago. Foundational of the research, most of it is theoretical basis that we cannot change. And we have to read to understand what is happening currently, something like history. We will learn from. Most of the research is being done today, it belongs to that or based on that old foundational research. So we need to read generally. Reading during writing is non-stop process. Read also sample of research articles, like the sample I gave to you, I showed you right now. Read and learn. The problem of many students, they don't read, they just come and write. This is the biggest problem. Then when they write, you cannot say anything. So always we advise, please read. I'm going to write the literature, so I go and read literature of few articles. How it's written, methodology, there are specific language to be used, simply. Learn from previous, maybe you take 3 or 4 articles, compare how is this section was written. Just follow. How was it written? What is the right language to be used in such scientific research? Also, read some articles from the selected journal. And it's good if you cited articles from the selected journal. That is advisable. The third tip is compiling, structuring, and formatting your paper. Read your work carefully after you've done all the sections. Put all together. Make sure that the gap, the novelty, the originality is there. The language is correct. Proofread. When I read my work, I can't recognize the errors. Ask others to read. My language is not efficient. I'm not a native speaker. I sent my lead or my paper for proofreading. We all do that. Gather all the information, put in the paper based on the journal guidelines. There are specific guidelines written in every journal. It tells you how to write. Some journals, they provide you a template to follow. Use this template. And they provide in every journal instructions to authors. What do you have to put in the paper in each section? How do you submit the paper? Now there are different types of journals. Another question the students ask, how do we select the journal? Selecting the journal, it comes based on your field. You need to choose the journal that it's in alignment with your field. The time you are reading while writing your literature and your research, you have come through or across hundreds or thousands of papers. Go and search about these journals. Try to read about these journals. If you have no experience, try to go with the lowest ranking to get some feedback and to learn and to build your confidence level. May I ask here if you have any questions so far before I move to the journal and show you how can you submit after completing your paper writing?
Ma'am, I'm having a question with your permission, please.
Yes.
Ma'am, this is the part. Basically, ma'am, my question is that once we are writing literature review, so what kind of language would you recommend for us to write? I mean, like, must the language be very much plain and simple, or it needs to be somewhat technical, complex, or complicated? What kind of language would you
use
prefer?
simple. We always use simple language, the language that can be understood by anyone. And always avoid using the first person in any part of your paper. Don't use I. Never, ever. Use the passive tense.
Yes, please. Okay, so
If you
as far
want
as the
to
research
replace, just one
yes, please.
point, if you want to replace the I, replace it with the author. The author found or the author stated. Don't say I at all.
Okay, it means that we have to avoid the personal pronouns. Instead, we can write this thing that the researcher or the author.
Yeah, first person should not be mentioned. Usually we prefer the passive voice. It was found, it was stated, it was used.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Got it.
Welcome. So we will move. This is the journal I want to browse together with you, which is recently established, and I am the editor-in-chief. So could you please scan the code? If you would like, you can scan the code. And also, I will go to the website to browse together.
Can we begin to ask questions now?
Yes, please. Yes, Mike, you can ask at any time.
Okay, thank you, Prof, for your beautiful lecture. This is a very wonderful one. It has shown me that I have seen some of the areas where I have challenges, and I'm very happy you have led us out. I
Thank you,
think
Michael.
I am interested in the concept paper. The concept paper. I think will the postgraduate school count it as an article? If you write a
Yes.
concept paper, will it be counted?
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Okay. So we will. That is one of the things I want to do. And then since I am working on I'm working on my questionnaire now. When I'm done, I'll begin to gather data before I can talk about the other articles.
Okay, you can start writing your concept paper also during your preparation for the questionnaire. You can work simultaneously because it's no relationship. You don't need to show the questionnaire for the concept paper. So you can start writing it now and show me. As I am your supervisor.
Thank you, Prof.
This is the journal that recently accepted paper, and I welcome everyone to send us paper here. So that's what I was telling you about. See here, guide to authors.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, when we click on the link that you have sent in the chat box, it requires username and password to open it.
Yes, true. It requires username and password. You need to register first. You need to register first. You will receive a one-time password. Then after that, you will have an account to submit your article.
Is there any fee for registration?
Yeah, this is my question.
Maybe I ask one of those who are here because I'm already registered, so I cannot do registration again. Can any one of you share his screen and do the process from registration and show everyone how it works? Michael, can I ask you to do this?
Ma'am, but our question is that, for example, if we are sending some paper to your journal, to your esteemed journal, will there be any registration or publication charges, or it is free of cost?
No, it's free of cost so far.
I am
that
using
will be amazing.
Okay.
It's free of cost so far. This is free of cost, and it's double blind review means your paper will be submitted to 2 reviewers who don't know who is this paper belong to. So if you go to the guide to authors, you will find here the guidelines, how to submit, what is required exactly. What files you need to submit. Text file, title without any author's name, so that will be submitted to 2 reviewers to check your work and give the feedback for you to improve. That's what we said. When you publish before your Viva, you have the advantage that your work have been reviewed already by 2 experts. So the time you review for the paper, definitely you will review your thesis as well. So the quality increases. The knowledge also increases. Can anyone help to do the registration?
Question.
Okay, let's finish the registration first. Show the process, then we will go to the Q&A open to everyone. Mike, I requested from you.
Yes, Prof. I'm using my mobile phone. Let me switch to my laptop.
Someone else who can be generous enough to share his screen and start browsing in the website.
Just a minute.
Yes, Nicola. Yes, Nicola, I can see your hand, please.
No,
Mr.
I had a
Roshan,
question.
could you please?
You
you will share.
Okay,
you will share your screen first.
Okay, but I tried and it was giving me some.
Okay, I see someone here is sharing the screen. Who's sharing the screen?
I'm sharing.
Okay,
Professor.
good. Thank you so much.
Everyone can see my email though.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if this works. I tried, but it gave me some errors.
Me with my own survive, so they call me.
Username containing only lowercase underscore.
Name.
Username.
Okay, what should I do? Will that work?
Try again. Okay,
Yes.
done.
Okay, great. It worked.
Now verification is waiting. You need to check your email.
Okay.
The registered email. You need to go to your email, the one you registered.
Yes, I did. It opened in a different. Let me share again.
Please,
Right.
everyone, you
So
can
it's
try
active.
also now.
It's active, Professor. It's registered and I activated it.
Okay. So can go to guide to authors.
Again.
Okay. You need to put, now you have already username and password. Just insert it there.
Why is that?
Okay.
I can't. Let me try again.
Have anyone here also tried? Have you tried?
Yes, we tried, but it doesn't work.
Okay, it's working now, I think. So it took me here, Professor. It took me here.
Correct.
It took me here.
Correct. So here means you are able now to submit. So you need to, you can click on new submission. You need to check whether you have everything. If you don't have, you need to go back to the website. These are the submission requirements. As you haven't read carefully what is in the website, means you need to go back to the website, go back. You will find submission guidelines. Okay, see here, reviewer board submissions. Go to submissions. So everyone, before submitting, you need to read about, it's not only this journal, every journal will provide you some guidelines. And also provide you templates.
Sorry, I had a question regarding the analysis method. Your one had used structural equation. Is it okay for SPSS? For hypothesis testing, the statistical study that you showed in your published article, what is the data analysis method that you all accept for this journal for a quantitative study?
Any data analysis is accepted and any type of paper is accepted.
Okay. So just a simple independent variable and dependent variable?
Yes.
No need for complicated?
If you don't have complicated, no need for complicated. If you have a complicated, also will come with complications. So what I want to show you that everyone, if you are publishing a paper, before asking questions, how, why, where, you need to check, select the journal to read carefully. People spend time writing these guidelines and preparing these templates to you. So read everything and follow and send. The more professionally you are following the guidelines, the more possibility that your paper will be accepted. Because not all journals accept the same formatting, and not all journals accept all fields of study. So like this journal, International Journal of Emergent Issues of Social Science, Arts and Humanities. If somebody with engineering background, for example, this journal is not suiting for him, but it can accept all fields of social science, arts, and humanities. You can check whether this journal suits you or not by clicking on home. Then here are the topics that are welcome. You will find it here. Any field under social science, it's accepted in. Thank you so much, Nicola. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So
Thank you,
what's the
Professor.
process after submitting your paper? Your paper will be received by the editor or the journal manager. He will assign the editor. The editor will decide to accept and send to reviewers or to reject. When to reject? To reject if not all documents were submitted, if no originality and no value for the paper, or if the paper is not relevant to the field of the journal. Other than these three, it will be sent to the reviewers blindly, and reviewers will take time to check and give feedback. They have also possibilities to accept without corrections, to reject, or to accept with corrections. That time you will receive the feedback and you will have to work on the feedback, reply with the corrected version of your manuscript, and then will be checked again, either accepted for publication or maybe given some more feedback, all for the advantage of your research. Yes, I have seen few hands. Yes. Yes.
Is there any fee of submitting article? Of this,
No, dear, no. For so far, no fees for submission and no fees for publications.
Okay, ma'am. It's the Scopus Index or international journal?
No, it is not yet Scopus, but hopefully in the near future it's going to be.
Thank you. How much time is required?
How much time of what?
How much time is required for the whole process of submitting and accepting?
It takes sometimes few weeks, sometimes few months. Now we are preparing for October issue. So we welcome the papers for October issue. But also within October, so within few days, it might stop receiving papers. Then after that, we will be continuing receiving for January. So you can send papers now, will be reviewed, and then you will receive the feedback and will be published. It's every 4 months publication.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Doctor, if it is not a Scopus Index, so that will, even if our articles get published in the journal, they'll not be counted for the PhD requirements.
May I know, where are you studying? Which university?
I mean, I'm a PhD student at Lincoln.
Okay, so if you are under Lincoln, PhD candidate, that means you have to publish 4 articles, 2 Scopus articles and 2 non-Scopus. So if you published in non-Scopus journal, means it will be considered one of your requirements.
Okay, right. Thank you.
You also
And
have
is
to
there
attend conferences, right? 2 conferences as a requirement.
Okay.
So We are organizing for a conference, most probably going to be early of next month. Soon we will announce and send the advertisement so you can start preparing your papers also and present there.
Assalamu alaikum. Here.
Hi, Fazal. Wa alaikum salam.
Ma'am, I have completed MSCS from Pakistan. Can I take admission in foreign university in PhD? I have completed MSCS in coursework in 4 semesters. Kindly guide me.
Sorry, say it again, please. You have completed MS?
In
Means
coursework.
master?
In coursework without thesis.
Okay.
Can I take admission in PhD?
Yes, can.
How will required for PhD?
Which requirement? Which PhD? Which program?
Computer sciences.
For PhD in computer science, I'm not
Yes.
familiar what's the requirement specially, but for any PhD, he needs to have a master degree. That's it.
Sorry, question is that mostly students completed MSCS with thesis.
Without thesis or with thesis? Coursework, you said.
Yes, I have completed MSCS with coursework.
Okay.
Yes.
And you want to carry on your PhD?
Yes, yes.
Go ahead. Nobody can stop you.
Can I take
Ma'am,
admission?
basically the question here in Pakistan, once you are doing your MS without thesis, so you cannot get enrolled into a PhD because there is a
Understood.
prerequisite in our country that you have to complete your MS or
Understood.
MPhil with thesis. But I guess at your
Understood.
university, one can get admission when he's already done
Okay.
coursework as well.
Okay. Thank you so much for your explanation. Thank you so much. Okay, I will take this question to the people in charge. If you don't mind, maybe you can contact with the organizer of this seminar and I can give you the answer. But from my side, I can tell you there is nothing can stop you from taking your PhD. Worst was you will have to take 1 to 2 prerequisite subjects. That's it.
Yeah, doctor, you are very right. In foreign countries, there is no such restriction. You are right.
Because in
Pakistan,
PhD,
they
you
have-
will learn research methodology, computer application, data analysis, and you will go through the process of research. So we'll gain the knowledge.
Exactly. So he can continue. Yeah, it's different from Pakistan. So no worries.
Nobody can stop you.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I'm having a question with me. I'm already done with my MPhil in English. It's MS basically, 18 years of education. So if I'm enrolling myself to Lincoln University from Pakistan, is there any option for distance education or I'm supposed to go for physical education?
No, sure. There is a big opportunity for distance education. Most of the students here who are under me as a supervisor, they are from distance learning. Okay, I think we've been far from the main topic. Please, if any side questions, I'm ready to answer, but you can maybe send to my email. Any question related to our webinar or seminar webinar today before we end the session?
Is there a particular length of the article? I mean, when we are writing the article, is there a particular stipulated length, number of pages?
Yes. Of course, that depends on the journal. That's why we say you need to read the guidelines to authors carefully. Some of them will say 3,000 to 5,000. Some of them will say 8,000. Some of them will say this is the suggested number of words. Exceeded, you will need to pay. So you need to read only the guidelines and follow. There are no issues there. Thank you, Dr. Sahar, for sharing the link. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me.
Yes.
Ma'am, if we have, yes, ma'am, if we have an article that is that we have prepared for conference, and also we have read it in the conference, but is there any possibility this conference paper is maybe submitted to or published to a journal?
You mean a paper that has been published in proceeding of the journal of the conference?
Yes, in both sides, also in the journal and also in the conference.
The paper should not be published any elsewhere. The paper to be published in the journal should not be published any elsewhere. If you have a paper that you presented in a conference, but only the abstract has been published, you can send the paper to publish here. But if the entire paper have been published and it's found online, published online, not published and given to you in a CD, you cannot publish. But if it's only given in a CD, so you can do some changes in the paper and submit. And definitely before submission, you will check the similarity. So any article have been published is not legal to be published in any elsewhere.
Okay, ma'am, I have some of the
published
the developing of the question.
One by one, please.
How long do we still have? In a journal, paper published in a journal has some documents like we can check on the Google Scholar or any other site. But if we present the paper on the conference paper, how we can check this paper is on the conference side? How we can search online conferences paper?
Have you sent to them? Have you sent to them the paper? Have you sent to them the paper when you participated?
Not still I am not sending, but in future, inshallah.
If you have sent the full paper and it was mentioned that this paper will be published, means you need to contact the organizer of the conference and make sure whether it's published, where is the link. If you participated and only send the abstract, or you send the paper, but it's not mentioned that the paper will be published, it's only for the conference proceeding preparation, so you can publish it somewhere else. You only will know this.
Yes. But my question is
Prof.
My question is that how we can find the already presented paper in the conference? How we can search? Suppose you have presented a lot of paper in the conference. How we can search that?
Not all conferences publish the papers. Some conferences, like the second paper I showed you in my presentation, that paper was participated. I've just participated and presented last week in a conference. That's why it showed its preprint. It will be published because it's one of the criteria of the conference that the papers will be published. But not all conferences do this. Some conferences, you will present the paper, but the paper will not be published. You can publish the paper somewhere else. There is difference between conference presentation and paper publication. Don't be confused. It's totally different. For a conference, you can present the paper in 100 conferences because the people who are participating in every conference is different. So you want to share your knowledge to the maximum number of people, but publication is one. Published online, anyone in this world can go and read your paper. Publication is once, presentation 100 times. Yes, Odom, we still have like 10 minutes before ending this session, please.
Okay, my question is just what you were trying to explain now. If you say the conference is coming up in a month's time, and I now apply to present my paper in the conference, will the postgraduate school count it? Will they count it as one of my work? Will it be counted?
Say it again, please, Oda. Say it again.
What I mean is that if I attend the conference and I present a paper at the conference, will it be counted as one of my research work?
100%.
Oh, that's fine.
Yes.
Okay. It's okay. That's what I wanted to know. And will there be charges? Will there be charges for the conference?
For conference, sure. There is no free conferences. For sure. No free conferences.
You have
And
an,
the
you have an,
price,
you
the
have
fees,
an
the
idea?
fees of the conference depends on the quality also. And depends on whether you have publication under this conference or not. If it's under publication, which type of publication? Is it publication in Scopus Index or non-Scopus Index? Everyone will have different fees.
Okay, you will be available to guide us because
Sure, for sure.
we want to participate. I want to participate.
For sure, we are designing, as I mentioned, we are designing and we will do our best to make it, including also publications. If possible, we will make it for Scopus, so we help the maximum number of students to participate in a conference and publish a paper as well. This is our main target. We wish that God will help us and support, and we can achieve it.
Amen.
Ma'am,
hello,
kindly
madam.
send your email address. Ma'am, email address, please. Email address.
You still have some more questions?
No, ma'am, last question.
Sure.
Only email address. Sorry, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, another question?
Hello,
Yes.
madam. I have a question. Can I ask?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, hello, madam. Actually, my field of study is biotechnology. So I'm going to finish my master's in biotechnology. But I will be completing my master's by coursework. So which means I'm completing on only my first year. And the thesis that I'm going to write is a research article and not a, sorry, it's a review article and not a research article.
It's a review article, means a research article. You mean it's not empirical. You don't have a data that collected and analyzed, but you have read and you are writing one type of a papers called research or literature review paper. It's a paper.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Madam, is there are the procedures going to change? Because my work is not going to involve any wet lab findings, because I'm not going to do a research in the lab, but I'm going to kind of going to research about the topic that has been given, and I'm going to kind of make a paper. So are there going to be any differences in the publishing method?
No, publication is publication, same procedures, but then the level or the possibility of accepting your paper depends on the journal ranking and the journal maybe quality. Some journals only accept empirical research, only wants to see data. For your field, I'm not sure, but they might only looking for some lab work. But also there are hundreds of papers published in literature. And I'm sure your research, since it's a literature, means it adds some knowledge into the literature itself. You have read a lot of research and you are giving insights and you are highlighting few points to others to search. Don't say, anyone here, please don't be disappointing or thinking a lot whether my paper will be accepted, not accepted. Try. Even though your paper have been sent and rejected, you are the winner. Why? Because the time your paper has been rejected, you will get some feedback from reviewers.
We didn't get feedback.
That feedback is free. Sometimes you don't get feedback, but you get some suggestion that it's better to go and better to go and send your paper to this and that journal. That by itself is free. Free knowledge and free help you receive from expertise in the field. So please don't be hesitated, don't feel demotivated. We all pass through this process. It's not easy to publish, but at the same time, it's not difficult. However, the final results is worth.
Okay, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Roshan.
Thank you, Professor Lubna.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Special thanks to Dr. Lubna for extending and coming.
Thank you
on
so much,
behalf of
ma'am.
all the students.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for students who participated.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. You have still a lot of questions. I know, Gula. Okay.
Now we are running out of time. So would like to thank Dr. Lubna, Professor Lubna Ali, for just coming online, helping the students. We are hoping to organize further such, workshops on organizing and presenting and publishing articles. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
All of you have a pleasant day. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you very much,
Good
ma'am.
night, everyone. Good night.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am.
Good night, madam.
Good night, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
dear.
madam.
Good evening. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Kindly, if possible, please share the recordings. Jazakallah
Thank
khair.
you, ma'am. I hope the organizer is
Thank you. Thank you.
aware of this. Bye-bye, I'm leaving.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
हाँ चाय नहीं मैं पीला मैं पीना था बिस्कुट के साथ याद है मेरी उधर गई अफसर की जो आदत है
Hello. Hello. Anyone available? ਹੋਈ ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਭੌਂਕਿਆ ਸੀ ਉੱਤੇ ਛੱਤਾ ਉਹ ਹੋਈ ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ या बाल पाया आज ओ फ्रिज ही डालती है फ्रिज का असला ही साडा आता ही इन्हें मार के गए तो हल गया Here, hello, anyone available? और डालता ही बोली नहीं गया और नवा आया हो गया